Good game.
Thanks, Goose. The first Company of Heroes still holds up as one of the greatest strategy games of this generation. It took it right down to the battlefield, where every soldier counted, and was a more personal story for a strategy game. 7 years later, it's time for Company of Heroes 2.
Come on, hurry up. Stop f***ing around and get in. Crew, get the field gun.
This time, we leave behind the familiar American war effort and take up arms for Mother Russia. Everything is told through flashbacks from the eyes of Lieutenant Isakovich, who was wound up in a Siberian gulag under investigation by the not-so-nice Russian government.
It was in Stalingrad when I realized you were losing control of your command.
Why? Because I didn't send all my men to die. Because I fought by their side.
You were never with us.
Yes, they certainly don't glorify this particular time in Russian history, do they? In fact, most missions often enact Order 227.
Turn back and fight, damn you! Fire!
It was a real order that basically said, if you retreat, we will kill you.
Retreat is an act of treason, comrade.
So they send a government official who just sits in your base and shoots any units that you order to retreat.
Yeah, it's quite dark, isn't it? Although, before all that, I didn't actually find the story that strong, to be honest. I liked that it doesn't shy away from the atrocities on both sides of the war effort, and it gives you some context to tie the missions together, but it doesn't do a lot to make you care about Isakovich or any of the characters. And the in-engine cutscenes are pretty dated at times.
Perhaps the enemy should save their bullets. Just let us shoot each other.
Yes, but the good news is the missions are mostly top-notch. It takes it from the lowest point of the Russian war effort, with the Nazis pretty much on the doorstep of Moscow, all the way through to their capture of Berlin. Along the way, you'll have to deal with weather cold enough to freeze your troops,
So cold.
enact some scorched earth policies,
Fritz will regret ever stepping foot on Soviet territory.
and generally give the Nazis a hard time. One of my favourite missions had you hunting down a single Tiger tank in a village with just a few squads of soldiers.
Armor is engaging us!
Yeah, and some of those missions are really stressful, with plenty of set pieces and moments that come right down to the wire.
And that's what the first game was known for, so I'm glad all that's back in there.
Often you have to hold your position against an onslaught of Nazis, and it always seemed like just when I was about to get completely overrun, something would turn the tides or I'd be given permission to retreat.
Another wave! All forces fall back and defend the headquarters!
I think one of the reasons why you really feel the pressure with Company of Heroes is the sound design. It's such a chaotic atmosphere, hearing those mortars rain down while your soldiers swear their heads off.
You're bleeding, comrade!
And tanks clattering into battle, it just gets the blood pumping.
Yeah, they swear a lot, don't they?
Roll that King AT gun out of here!
There's a German Stug coming up the river. Now we're
I like that your soldiers do have little conversations when they're just milling about.
They never tell you about the smell of battle.
Complaining will not win this war. Dedication will.
Although I'm pretty sure I heard one of them say dude, which was a little out of place.
Much like the original, in this game cover is everything.
Soldier, moving.
Whether it be a sandbag or a broken down car, getting your men into a good position makes all the difference. The trouble is, things blow up, so you'll constantly have to be adjusting your strategy as buildings collapse and solid concrete walls become nothing but craters. The level of destruction certainly felt like a step up to me.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I don't think this looks much better than the original, but you can notice some of those improvements in the little details. In snowy maps, for example, every single footstep and tank track stays in the snow, and bits of the environment get blown up and strewn around the battlefield. You can really see the effects of a hard-fought battle on the environment.
I was disappointed with how similar this felt to the last game. It's not necessarily a bad thing because the last game was great. It's just that where that was ahead of its time, this feels like more of the same. One new addition though, you can mantle over cover now instead of just going around it. It's not revolutionary, but it is something.
Forward! March!
There are of course new units which bring new strategies, such as the Katyusha rockets, which I quite liked.
And another of the major new additions is the line of sight system, which actually works through line of sight. A shocking idea, I know, but units used to just have this all-seeing circle that would pierce through fog of war.
We are moving.
But now, if your soldiers can't see it, you can't see it.
Yeah, and I think those little tweaks will become especially important in multiplayer. Also, blizzards occasionally roll in and almost snap freeze any units not near a fire or in shelter, and that can drastically change the course of a match. They also dump fresh snow everywhere, covering up any tracks which you could have used to suss out enemy movements.
You have orders for us? Going.
It's such an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, the weather is definitely a great wild card in matches. Although one thing that concerned me a bit is the addition of unlockable bulletins, which give you bigger and better buffs for your units. I mean, I know progression and unlocks are all the rage, but I'm worried it's going to make it harder for noobs like us to just win any matches at all.
Yes, it is certainly stressful online too. I have horrifying memories of the first Company of Heroes and just getting smashed constantly, and this is no different. But if you want to feel better, you can always verse some easy AI in a skirmish mode, and you can actually earn bulletins from any mode, so it's a good incentive to keep playing. Sadly, it does appear to be missing some competitive features like we've seen in the latest StarCraft. There's no inbuilt clans, leaderboards, or dedicated servers, or even just replays. So as far as online goes, it's pretty bare bones.
The other part of the package to round it all out is the Theatre of War mode. This offers a range of different solo and co-op challenges, as well as a few AI skirmishes. The difference is they change up the rules somewhat for each of these. So, for example, in one of the solo challenges, you have a limited time to destroy all the German buildings, but you get extra time for blowing up any building, and they give you a few of those awesome rocket launchers to help you out.
To the people and workers of the Soviet Union.
I think we have been a bit negative overall with this review, Hex, and it's just because I was expecting so much more from a big sequel to such a great game, but it still is a great game. It feels so different to all the other RTSs out there, so I still think it's worth an 8 out of 10 rubber chickens.
I agree, I'm giving it 8 as well.
Yes, I am Russian, but we are not all required to like vodka.